We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Caregiver Dave Celebrity segment, and I'll call it the Total Education Hour segment as well, Dave.
Hey, we've got former NFLer Jordan Campbell from the Cincinnati Bengals, Washington Redskins, Kansas City Chiefs, oh my God, who started Winter Circle Athletics with a $5,000 NFL signing bonus 5 years ago. Entrepreneur, right? And he parlayed that into a multi-million-dollar business, Southern California facility and school that trains kids in all kinds of sports, but most specifically football. And of note, this is the first charter school in the country with a focus on athletics. He recently did a segment on Fox News LA explaining his mission, which you need to Google that and check it out. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys, man. I'm fired up to be here.
All right.
It's an honor. Wow. Let's start with starting with the basics. Did you always want to be an NFL player?
Not really. As a young kid, I know people say you dream to be an NFL guy. I dreamed to be a varsity football player. I used to be the kid who used to play in the back of the end zone after the game and then get on the field just to score a couple touchdowns like seeing the older guys do. And then once I kind of accomplished that, the next dream was being a college football player. And then it continued just to set new goals and new opportunities opened up.
Wow,
baby steps.
It's so. It seems like, Jordan, that's how you were raised in certain ways. That, you know what, you go one goal at a time. You don't go and just have this huge dream. You see to accomplish one thing at a time. Do you have mentors that have taught you that?
Pete Carroll was one of them. He used to always say, focus on doing your job, not everybody else. Lay a foundation, turn a good day into a great day, into a great week, to even better month. And I really a firm believer in that. Just handle business of what's in front of you. Keep your blinders on, and by the time you look up, you're going to accomplish a lot.
Wow. So, did you always have your eye on the NFL then? After you were done with your college goal and what?
Yeah. As soon as I went to USC, I was part of the #1 recruiting class in the country. I was the #2 linebacker in the country. And once you start going through that process, going to the Under Armour All-Star games, the Army All-American game. Obviously, a pitch of Ken Norton Jr., who's the NFL coach, who was one of my mentors, also Pete Carroll. Their pitch was, you come to SC because you're going to get a great education. You're going to make it to the next level because they're going to prepare you for that. And that's what really kind of got me thinking about the NFL once I was about 17, 18 years old, going through the recruiting process. And that's when that light bulb turned on, like, wow, this could actually happen.
Well, I totally agree. I'm a fellow Trojan, so... That's
fight on, baby.
I knew there was something I liked about you. Your fondest memory playing in the NFL?
Fondest memory in the NFL? I had a couple of them, but being on HBO Hard Knocks, that was a great experience. Arm wrestling, James Harrison, Hall of Famer legend. That was another guy I had an opportunity to attach myself to. Being around Andy Reid and Doug Peterson, who's obviously coaching with the Philadelphia Eagles, being a part of Coach McVay's coaching staff. I've just been blessed to be with so many great leaders and people who know how to set a great championship foundation. And I'd say that would be my best memory, just kind of a little bit of everything that I took from each city I was in and the experience.
Yeah, so, it's very interesting, Jordan, when you talk about, talking about the dream of the NFL and you talk about your fondest memory. I want to just bounce back really quickly because, again, of USC Trojan, playing for Pete Carroll, you talked about the mentorship. What do we not know about Pete Carroll that you could share today on the show?
Pete Carroll, guy loves to dance. If any dance battle goes on, doesn't matter. He's studying dance moves, and that's the way he could kind of relate to us kids. So you could guarantee Coach would come in a meet and be fired up and do something silly just to kind of let everybody know that it's not all business and it's fun. So Coach is definitely a great dancer and a great basketball player, a great athlete. You'd be surprised. You'll see Pete Carroll throwing the ball 50 yards before the game, catching it with one hand, and he'll go on the basketball court, and he's a great athlete, shooting threes. Great competitor.
Wow. So did you accomplish all your goals when you retired the NFL?
Actually, I have everything that I learned throughout this process. If you ask my buddies from SC who have businesses, I did everything out of the norm. Everything was backwards just because it was all built off of passion. I wasn't a kid who had money. I didn't come from money. I didn't have someone invest into my company. I just kind of, again, life experiences, learning from great people on the football side, strength conditioning side, and then also learning from trial and error myself and what I've seen from my buddies on the business side.
Yeah, no, so what is that noise? Is that you, Dave, or is that Jordan's cell?
I think it could be my phone. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
SC's a great business school. You made a wise choice going there.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Jordan.
SC was amazing.
Now, let's kind of jump, Jordan, into specifically enough the NFL experience. Who do you consider yourself an NFL? What team do you consider yourself? You know, after everyone retires, they have a team that they say, okay, that's the colors I really consider myself. Do you consider yourself a Bengal? Do you consider yourself a Chief? I forgot the other team as well. Which team?
Unfortunately, I don't consider myself any of those organizations. Those are things I learned from, but just learning the nature of the business and how it's such a business. And once you get to that level, it's no longer fun. I've seen guys get cut, released, all different crazy things where you realize, wow, this is actually a business. So I would say I'm still a SC fan. I love college athletics. That's kind of where I pay attention to stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
That doesn't sound. I didn't watch one NFL game this year. I was so busy driving kids to colleges and visiting universities and being
tremendous.
a part of high school football and coaching youth football. I'm really about the grassroots because the nature of the business and the beast at the top is very ugly. And that's kind of why I established my business here in Southern California, just to kind of help kids understand the process and what they're getting themselves into so they're prepared when they get to it.
You're a refreshing breath of fresh air, Jordan. That's awesome.
Yeah, not the norm. People hype up NFL, making money. No, I don't want to hear none of that. Let's get your education handled at the youth level. Let's get your get ready for high school. Yeah, basic. Let's focus on the foundation, and that's going to take you a lot farther than worried about making $1 million.
And that's true because NFL Jordan,
that were first round draft hits.
Yeah.
I see why you started your Winter Circle Athletics. It was your passion.
My passion, exactly. I was a part of a similar program in 8th grade with Toby Gerhart, who played at Stanford, and his brother Garth Gerhart, who played at Arizona State. They're on my high school championship teams. It's just kind of, this was the dream. We went through a similar program, and I knew the moment I had an opportunity to establish something in our community, not only would we be successful, but we would change the whole culture and the way education, athletics is really being taught to our youth. And there's a better system. If you look at all the top private schools in Southern California, look at the top university, they're all digital online schools. Our public schools are still teaching paperback and book, and that's not what they're teaching at the highest level. So why are we giving 99% of the youth kids in high school and middle school and elementary school a totally different education system than you're getting at the top?
Yeah. Well, you said you did something similar to this. Are they still around, or are you the only one doing this now?
So I actually did it with my grandfather. He was a strength conditioning coach at the high school. My 8th grade year, I entered a prep school like this where we trained and we handled our education before we went to high school. That allowed us to play varsity football immediately. If you see a lot of kids who go to high school every year, there's 90 kids joining the football team, and there's a PE coach who's trying to teach them how to lift, how to train, all in a short window. And you really can't develop during that time unless you're at one of a top program who has real strength conditioning coaches. My grandfather started this, and then the moment I had a chance to come back and do this, we did it on the highest level with the top resources in the country.
Yes.
And offered it to middle school students.
And so, Jordan, let's jump into specifically the challenges of starting a charter school. I know this because I'm a former teacher. I'm certified elementary ed and got my master's in education and wrote one of my research papers on charter schools. So charter schools are an interesting animal just to form a charter. The challenges of being able to do that, especially with your mind of a very different school compared to other charter schools.
Yeah. Well, the ups and downs of it, one is just trying to educate the entire system and people who are stuck in their ways. For so many decades and years, the education system has been a certain way. So to go and implement something so unique and diverse and dynamic to our community, you just have to educate people on there's a better way to learn. There's a better way to have time management skills. You don't learn that really until college. But being an athlete and working out from 6 a.m. in the morning to going to class and practicing and then tutoring in the evening, get home about 10 o'clock. That's a full day job, and you see athletes struggle with it, and they talk about it all the time. So how about we fix it and restructure the system for student athletes so they can have better time management skills and they can have time to train, time to eat healthy, time to sleep, And at the end of the day, it's a business in college, so you should want your athlete to be well rested and fed and on top of his academics.
Well, lucky that community. What community is that?
I'm in Southern California, so we have kids coming from Orange County, San Diego, Inland Empire. Yeah, we have kids driving from all over.
Even from North LA County, or is that too far for them?
We have kids from Calabasas that drive here. We would be surprised, 2 hours a day. We had multiple kids move from out of state to stay with relatives out here to go to school with us. And, yeah, it's just a totally different system. But, again, that's what they're doing at the highest level. We see about 25 to 30 kids in college every year. And when we go check on them, I see their online curriculum, and you have 4 classes that are online. You don't even step on campus. You don't go to a class. You go to study hours. So, again, we're trying to have athletes in high school and middle school wake up at 7 a.m. and then have 5 hours of extra
true. Yeah.
practice and training in the evening. You're driving to 12 different locations. It's a lot easier if people were able to create a system like we're doing, which is distant learning and kind of mimicking what they're doing at Harvard, at USC, at the top private schools here in the country.
For sure.
Great job.
And you're definitely doing a great job, Jordan. And what is your goal for this? How much farther you want to expand this?
Well, we're right now, like I was saying earlier, I was a little late jumping on the phone. We're under construction at our new health and wellness center, our academic center. So we have about 16,000 square feet of academic space, computer labs we're adding in right now. We're adding in a whole health and wellness area where they'll have a full cafeteria where the kids can eat inside like you would at a university. You have your nutritionist here, your physical therapy, your doctors. You have a recovery center, so hyperbaric chambers for a lot of our athletes.
How big is this place?
We're about 75,000 square feet. So we have 2 buildings, one 16,000 square feet, 120, and then between them, we're blessed by God to get this location. We have a 85-yard by 35-yard turf artificial field outside for football practice, for baseball, softball. We have a basketball court, indoor batting cages, you name it. We have the top of the line, everything. So yeah, we're about a 75,000 square foot campus, and it has.
What was that campus utilized before you purchased it?
It was just two warehouse buildings. It was junkyard pretty much.
Oh boy!
You would never know what was there. And then we started with 3,000 square feet. Within 6 months, we got our new building at 20,000 square feet. And then 3 years go by, and we had an opportunity to get the building on that really sits behind us with this huge lot, and just purchased that building. So really today, March 1st is our 5th year anniversary of being open, and we just opened now an additional about 50,000 square feet.
Now, Jordan,
right there.
For sure. And Jordan, let's talk about how kids apply for this. We all know charters. We've watched the lottery. I'm sure you've done research, Jordan, when you got involved in the charter school to see certain, education films and things like that, like the lottery and all that. How do kids apply for your school to be in your school?
Kids could do our online school digitally. There's no evaluation process for that. There's charter schools are free, so the education piece here, anybody could do it. But if you want to be a part of our sports science academy, which we have about 200 plus kids, there's an interview process for that, grades 4 through 8. It's a $10,000 a year program that covers everything from tutoring to training to recovery, nutrition. We have our own sports teams as well here on campus that the kids play for. So if you want to be a part of that sports science program, you interview with us in the program, do a good little background evaluation on you, figure out what type of kid you are, what goals you want, and then if everything goes well, we'll accept you into the program.
You get government funding, right?
Actually, we do not, because we have the actual teachers, the credentials, all that's taken care of by the charter school. So usually when you go to a charter school, you're able to get funding for a tutor, training, PE, whatever those little things are, they're able to fund. For us, actually, that goes right into having a full academic staff of about 14 teachers, athletic directors, counselors, speech therapists, all here on site for the kids.
And that comes from the public school, right? The local public school based on a charter?
Yes. So they provide us, so they provide us all that for our academic side, and we handle all the training and all the other resources here on campus.
Wow, I'm blown away.
Yeah, so they're able to give us 2 credentialed teachers per 25 kids. So each class, your typical public school has 42 kids in the classroom. IEP, 504 plans, all these different things where legally the teacher can't even get the kids who want to learn a real attention. They might get 5 minutes of the lesson plan, and they have to go help these other kids out and a lot of times it hinders the growth of the kid who actually wants to be there. So again, our structure here, we made sure it was the best for student athletes. So we have 2 credentialed teachers in each class per 25 kids.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, this would be a great model for the inner cities, where those schools are just terrible.
Yeah, it's tough though. You gotta want to be here, and that's how we get such great former athlete teachers from Cal Berkeley, USC, UCLA, Stanford to all be on staff here as teachers. You actually get to teach 200 kids who want to be here, who want to learn, and they really want to absorb your mentorship. So to get teachers and on staff here, it's a very easy process because they all want to. They all want to be here because the kids that are here, they're turning into national recruits. We have guys that are drafted in the NFL. We have guys in the Olympics now. We have the number 1 player in the country in every single class from the 2020 all the way down to our 8th graders. So it's just a great environment for a former athlete to teach in.
I'm so glad the concept of excellence has returned to America because there's so many people who just want to make everybody average. Mediocre.
Make everyone average. Why? I don't want to be average. I want to go to the best college in the country. So how about you give me the resources instead of telling me I can't be a professional athlete?
Yeah, well, it's the underachievers who want to be average because that'll take them up.
Now, so Jordan.
Yeah, think of that.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to ask a question, Jordan. I said expansion. I was saying expansion. You said you're growing even more. Do you ever want to expand it to high school as well?
So we're already CIF approved right now, so we can create our own football team, basketball team, all those things. We actually have our own sports academy. It's called the Premier Knights. We have our own football team, which won the national championship at 2 levels. We have our own baseball team, which Adam Kennedy, former World Series champ from the Anaheim Angels, he's our baseball coach here. Basketball, lacrosse. So all our kids in our school compete with each other for our own school team. And then also, again, we could go high school. The reason why we haven't yet is because we pretty much fueled the best high school programs here in Southern California. For example, we had 63 kids who got 4-ride scholarships to Mater Dei, J. Sarah, Oaks Christian, the top schools in the country. So once we decide to go CIF, we'll burn a lot of bridges because all those coaches depend on our players to really run their programs.
Oh, yeah, I know Oaks Christians. Great school.
All right, so
$32,000 a year.
Yeah, wow. So Dave has his final question for you, Jordan. One reason he's on this show is he's a caregiver, and to see how much you give to education, Jordan, and you should be commended of what you've grown. And we should definitely think this could be a model in other areas to do the same thing as a charter school. It's something to really think about. Hopefully, people will take your model and try to dominate it in some area, just like you did in Southern California. But Dave has his final question.
Yeah, so I'm a caregiver, been a caregiver for 22 years. My wife had a stroke, lost her speech, paralyzed on the right side. And my mission now is to help caregivers stay alive because 30% of them are actually dying and the rest of them are getting sicker, needing a caregiver of their own because nobody thinks about the caregiver, And I like to say if you're not a caregiver, just wait. You're either going to become one or you're going to need one. I'm wondering if caregiving has ever touched your life, your parents, grandparents, any awareness of it?
Well, actually, that's crazy you say that. I lost 3 people to cancer all through my my process, all through high school. My grandfather, my 2 uncles passed away from cancer. My grandfather fought in the Vietnam War, and he had Ancient Orange, I believe is what it was. And it kind of affected my family pretty bad. And actually, my grandma is she's been fighting. She has hospice right now as well. So, yeah, I appreciate the caregivers. I've been seeing it since I was 8 years old, and just how comfortable they are, made my family, how comfortable they made my family members, how much my family members love them for doing what they were doing for them. So, it's definitely people we need and something that we have to have. And I'm definitely benefiting it from right now. My grandma's very comfortable because of it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you saw the effect on the caregivers. Sometimes they do worse than the ones they're caring for, which is sad. But so I have a website now, caregiverdave.com. Anybody needs help, support, information, just don't know if you're going to make it through the day, caregiverdave.com. We've got lots of resources for you.
All right, and thanks, Jordan, and the best place we can find information on you, Jordan, where can we go to check you out?
Yes, follow us at winnercircleathletics.com on either our website or Instagram as well. You can follow me on Instagram at J_Campbell_WCA. And just kind of go back to your last question. Yes, we are growing. We're opening a location in Irvine. Will be our second charter school, and we are waiting to get approved by Arizona and Las Vegas, Nevada, which in the next 2 years we'll be opening multiple locations here on the West Coast.
That's phenomenal. You got to bring it here, and you got to bring it to my my good friend and mentor, Darnell Dinkins. I don't know if you ever played against Darnell. He's a phenomenal guy, and he's doing stuff with Ethic, and he has that same mindset that you have, Jordan. And who knows if Pennsylvania I should tell Darnell about this. This is awesome if we could get something in the East Coast. Are you going to have just like different places as like an affiliate to try to get these going? It looks like first you can be everywhere in California, but if you end up going East Coast, who knows, right? You never know.
Yeah, exactly. We have people hitting us up from all over the country, a bunch of my former teammates and whatnot who are wanting to do it. So that's definitely a thing that we're moving towards, and we finally have the model down, and now it's time to go help create a perfect environment in other communities.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Caregiver Dave celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program Dave Nassaney, Caregiver Dave.
Today we're talking about Corey Jackson, former NFL defensive lineman, Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos, and now he's a speaker and peak performance practitioner. And he tells a story how he went from working at Walmart to becoming an NFL athlete. I'm excited to have you on, Corey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Did I get it all right?
Yeah, he hit it except the business. You've hit everything except the business, but we'll get to that, and that's perfect. Short introduction, short but sweet, but some interesting stuff.
Well, I didn't want to steal his thunder.
No, don't ever steal his thunder.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal your thunder. Your road to the NFL, Corey, was very different compared to other players. Tell me about it.
Yeah, like most kids growing up, I wanted to be a professional athlete. When I was 5 years old, I told myself that's what I was going to be. And initially, I was a basketball player. So I was playing basketball and just really put in tons and tons of hours, just trying to get to the NBA. Kind of fast forward the story a little bit, got to high school, ended up being the best basketball player in my entire area. And so, all outward appearances, people was like, wow, he may be on the track to do exactly what he set out to do. But I had a huge problem reading. Comprehension just struggled a lot in school. So one day my guidance counselor was like, I think college is not going to be the deal for you. And it's just one of those things where he had all the facts, all the evidence, and it was true. I wasn't ready for college, and so I started working at Walmart. Took a job at Walmart making $7 an hour, and I did it for a year, and it was really the most chaotic, miserable year of my life. I'm doing something I don't want to do. My lifelong dreams just seem to have, just blown in the wind and it's been gone, and now I'm stuck making $7 an hour working at Walmart. But fortunately for me, I had kind of this thing where I just realized that everybody can tell because I got turned down by every Division I college in America, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I had this thing. I was like, well, I didn't get picked. And I was thinking in life, and this is a great life lesson for me, by the way. This was a perfect lesson for me. So I didn't get picked to go do what I thought I was supposed to do, right? And this happens to all of us. We all find ourselves in those times where, man, I didn't get selected for the job, or I didn't get the thing, or whatever, right? Well, what I realized was I didn't have to wait for somebody to pick me, right? And it was just the most freeing thing I ever experienced when I realized that. And so, literally, I went to Walmart, quit my job, and I heard about a junior college called Ranger College in Texas, right? And so I've never been out of the state of South Carolina. I'm 19 years old, never been anywhere, right? And so I quit my job. I go to the bus station, and I said, I need a bus ticket to Ranger, Texas. Now, once you've heard no so many times, you start to try to figure out how to make sure you don't hear no again, right? And so one thing that I knew I could do was not apply for the school, not enroll in the school, and not call the coaches and talk to them, right? I said, if I don't do those things, they can't tell me no, right? So now I'm at the bus station, I tell the lady I need a ticket. She tells me how much the round trip ticket is, and I don't have enough money to buy the ticket. So I said, well, how much is the one-way? She tells me, and I have enough money for the one-way, so I buy the one-way ticket.
There you go.
Oh, wow, okay.
The one-way ticket is very important and very instrumental in this situation because when I get on the bus, I soon realize that my heart is beating out of my chest. I have this huge anxiety, and I'm terrified. And so every time, I don't know if you guys ever been on a Greyhound bus before, but a Greyhound bus stops like in a million cities. Like, I mean,
right.
Just little towns you never heard
Exactly,
of before, never thought of before. Right? And I have 2 days of this. And so every time that bus will stop, I wanted to get off, right? I'm like, this is crazy. I don't want to, I want to go home. But I have a round trip ticket, no money. I have to stay on this bus. So
they call that in the business burning the ship. Success is your only option. Quitting is not an option.
Exactly. I had and then when you don't have any money, very few options. So I'm on this bus. I make it to Texas, get to the Town Ranger, and I call the basketball coach from the bus station. I tell the guy, who I was, and he has no idea who I am, and he don't know I'm literally at the bus station. So he tells me, "Hey, man, just have your coach send me some film and some stats, and I'll let you know if I want to recruit you." And I was like, "Well, I can't do that." He's like, "Why?" Man, I'm at the bus station. I need a ride, right? And so the guy, man, he fortunately for me, he came, he picked me up, and then he told me in every way he could that he couldn't help me. He said, "Listen, I have 25 players on my team. I don't have any scholarships. You haven't applied for the school. You haven't enrolled in the school. I don't even know if you can get into school. I don't know what you're going to do." And then he decided to drop me off at the admissions office. So I go in there, and they're trying to get me into school. And finally, they're like, "Well, we can get you into school. How are you going to pay for it?" I have no money, $0.
This is like the movie Rudy. You know the movie Rudy? His dream is to go play for Notre Dame, and he doesn't have anything going for him. And this is amazing.
Yeah. But I tell people all the time, when you have the least to lose is when you have the most. Like that's when you can do the most.
Yep.
Because you don't have far to fall.
Not at all.
And so, yeah. So,
they're going to make a movie out of this, buddy.
Well, we actually really interesting. We started on a documentary because we got all our coaches and everybody that was involved in my life in that time together, and we started a documentary just talking about that experience because everybody's seen it from a different lens, which is really interesting. But once I walk out of this admissions office, literally 50 yards away was a gymnasium. And it's like this old gym. It's not like,
Right, exactly. You're talking Ranger College. Corey, I just learned of Ranger College this week because I was prospecting them for something. And I'd never heard of Ranger College in my life. Now I get a graduate from Ranger College, JUCO. It's like, wow. And here's the thing, Corey, the humbling. I'm going to kind of interrupt you for a second just to tell a little bit of a story. Think about how humbling this is. You're one of the best high school basketball players in the country. And you literally couldn't get any schools because of your academics. Now you go after your dream, and a coach tells you, "I don't want you to play for me," before he even knows that you were one of a great high school basketball player, probably better than a lot of the kids at Ranger.
Yeah.
So you're really you really use a lot of humility in these experiences.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to be so humbled by that, right? And so, just going from, having that type of high school career to like nobody really cares about you anymore, right? Like, but the thing was, when I walked into that gym, the guys were in there playing, and I'm watching them play. And I literally I sat there and watched maybe a few games, and the coach comes up and says, "Hey, they just playing pickup. So, next game, if you want to play, feel free." So next game started. I walked on the court. None of these guys know who I am, by the way, right? So I already knew they wasn't going to pass me the ball. First of all, I knew that wasn't going to happen, right? So I walk on the court, and I'm on the court for like 30 seconds before something happens. The guy on my team takes this horrible, awkward-looking three-point shot, and so I'm saying, "Oh, I need to run to the paint. I'm gonna get the rebound because I know he's going to miss." Right? This is a horrible shot. And so the ball's flying through the air, and 3 other guys are battling me for position to get the rebound too. The ball hits the back of the rim, pops up. I jump, these other guys jump too. So we all in the air fighting for this one ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally just came 2 days on the bus. I have no money. I don't know where I'm going to sleep. I don't know what I'm going to eat. There's no way these boys are going to get this ball. And so I grabbed the ball with both hands, and I slammed the ball back in, and I'm swinging on the rim. And literally by the time I came from the rim down to the floor, the coach was onto the court. He stopped the whole game. Everybody stopped. He said, listen, I don't know why you came here, but I'm glad you did. Don't worry about anything. We want you on this team. And that was how I got into college, which was just jumping on a bus and
wow,
walking onto the court and dunking on 3 guys. And it started from there, which really changed my life.
Yeah, being an undrafted free agent is not the easiest way to make a team.
Exactly.
And Dave, what Dave was pointing at is undrafted free agent for the NFL. So I still need to know the story. And think about this, Dave. He's a professional football player. He's playing college JUCO basketball. How did that happen to go from basketball to football? I mean, you're saying you're pretty good. You're playing at Ranger College, and how did you become a football player?
It's a great question.
I literally became one of the best junior college players in the state of Texas. Got a scholarship to the University of Nevada, averaged a double-double, was one of the top rebounders in the nation, actually. And I didn't get drafted into the NBA. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a chance to play in the NBA, but I didn't get drafted. And so when I didn't get drafted, I got a bunch of offers to go overseas and play in Europe, and I didn't want to go. I just didn't feel like that was for me. And so I came back to University of Nevada to finish my degree, and I ran into one of the football coaches. And he was like, hey, man, you're one of my favorite basketball players. Love watching you play. And then he says, but you were playing the wrong sport, right? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, yeah, man, you're playing the wrong sport. And he said, by the way, you have a 5th year. You can play any sports you want now. And I didn't know that. And so he says, listen, you need to come out and play football. And I went out that semester and played football, and it literally was one of the hardest things to do, to really transition into a football player. So I ended up only playing 12 plays, which is really interesting. 12 plays, not 12 games, 12 plays. And so when the season ended, I just assumed that, that was it. But we had a pro day at the school, and I wasn't planning to participate. And I'm at my apartment, and my coach calls, and he says, listen, man, you need to get up here to the school because we have 30 NFL scouts up here asking about you. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what do you mean?
Really?
He's like, yeah, we have 30 NFL scouts up here asking about you. And they wanted to see me work out, and I went and did this workout and just killed it. I destroyed it. And literally, once that workout was over, my phone went crazy. Agents calling, wanting to represent me. And I knew then, like, something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. And then so the draft came and all that good stuff, and I ended up signing with the Cleveland Browns as a free agent, which I was actually projected to get drafted in the 5th round by the Dolphins, and they ended up trading their 5th round pick. And so I fell to a free agent, and then I signed with the Cleveland Browns. And so, yeah, that's pretty much how that happened, how that transition from basketball to football happened.
That's amazing.
It's a story you don't hear a lot of, especially with somebody who only played 12 plays in college and ended up being in the NFL, Dave. Think about that. 12 plays, not 12 games, 12 plays. He thinks he didn't even hit the field that much, and literally he ended up in the NFL. So, Dave, yeah.
Why did he tell you you're in the wrong sport? What did he see about you in basketball that made him think that you belonged to football?
Yeah, So how I played basketball, like I said, I was one of the top rebounders in the nation, but I was really a very physical basketball player. Extremely physical, but I was really agile and quick at the same time. And so a lot of the things I did to get rebounds kind of transitioned naturally over to being able to rush the passer and get people's hands off you and get around them really quickly and things like that. And so those were some of the things that they were able to see. And so, but the funny thing about it was the minute I got on the campus of University of Nevada, my basketball coaches, because when I tell you phenomenal shape, at maybe 6% body fat, I mean, just really just ripped up. My basketball coaches was like, hey, man, we're going to need you to stay away from those football coaches, because I guess they could tell like I had a body for football. And so they would always make a joke about that. But none of us ever thought I was going to play football.
Well, aren't you glad that you went out of your comfort zone, you hopped on a Greyhound bus, and you didn't get off at all those different stops?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because it's really what I just described to you guys was kind of my story of going from Walmart to the NFL, but it's really about this is what entrepreneurship is. It's really the same concept.
It truly is.
The same emotions, the same type of thing.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the things that, one, kind of helps me when, I'm working with different companies or teaching people and things like that, because these are things that you really experience in entrepreneurship.
And I believe entrepreneurs are born. Very few of them are made, because it just takes a mentality. So you probably didn't even know you were an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I never thought about it. I never thought about it. But these kind of intrinsic values just was kind of.
It takes chutzpah to do what you did, and to have the nerves of steel to just go through that. And even though you were wavering and you had your doubts, the bottom line is you didn't quit.
I have a story that kind of, I see why I'm an entrepreneur too, Corey and Dave, and I'm going to go right then jump to a question, but real quick story. But this simple, quick story is I went ahead and I was working minor leagues of pro wrestling, and Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, tells me, hey, Neil, you work weekend pro wrestling matches. You're never going to get to the next level. You need to go down south to this organization down south in Arkansas and Missouri and go work there 5 days a week. Once you do that, you'll learn your craft in pro wrestling. So I sent my, information and my picture, and the guy got back to me and said, you got to move out there. So I went out from being a East Coast boy to living down south and learn the sport of pro wrestling from the best. And I mean, I just did the minor leagues and everything, but it really is getting out of my comfort zone. So anything that I go through in my life in entrepreneurship, I'll take chances because of what I did in pro wrestling. So it's same thing with Corey. Now, Corey, did you have a good mindset throughout your football career that you were looking for life after football too?
Yeah, well, which was really fortunate. I tell people all the time that your disadvantages are your advantages, right? And so my experience leading up to just have the opportunity to be in the NFL put me in position to think that way, because I always knew that, one, because I signed as a free agent, I'm always like one cut away from being back home, right? And so I knew that it wasn't a lot of security for me because I wasn't a top draft pick and things of that nature. But my background kind of put me in a position to be in that mindset. And so I started a company my rookie year, actually, called C. Jackson Investments, and we started focusing on multifamily properties in different regions around the country. And one of the things that excited me about that is because I was in control of that, right? Like I could decide, I could call the shots, I could find the properties, I can get out and do those things myself, which really drew me to entrepreneurship even more, because once you get a taste of that, you don't want to be boxed in again. You want to be, free to make these decisions. And so, I was in that mindset from the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, are you ready for the question about it, why he's on the show? He's had such an amazing story so far.
Yeah, so tell us life after football. What's going on?
Yeah. So obviously you guys know I've been speaking and I do that a lot. And but I started a company called Quirks, and I started like 2 years ago, and it's specifically for athletes, professional athletes, and we also geared towards college athletes that work for a company, partner with a brand, things of that nature. And so what we do is we really tell the story to help these companies and brands understand the value of the athlete from the sense of what they bring to the table professionally. Because a lot of times when you think about athletes, you're going to think about the common things, right? Like, well, they're probably, hard workers, and they probably, used to overcoming adversity and things like that. But you don't necessarily know how they fit into the culture of a company, right? Like, what does that really look like? Because they don't have a background of experience that you're able to connect directly to and say, I can look at your resume and say, you worked here, you worked there, and you did these things. And so we help tell that story so that guys can get a better opportunity to connect to the things that they're passionate about and have the type of impact they're looking for. Like I said, whether that's finding a career, six-figure career that they're looking for, or entrepreneurial endeavor, things of that nature. But we're constantly curating these opportunities for them. And we partner and work with the company, so we're really our revenue comes from the companies that we work with. And so athletes are able to take advantage of the opportunities we're providing without having to come out of their pockets, because the core of the athletes that we work with are guys that played 3-4 years in the league, didn't make a fortune, right? But are trying to figure out where they want to be in the world. And so they didn't have these huge contracts, and they didn't have these long careers. And they're looking to even up the playing field. If you're 30 years old, and me and Dave are both 30 years old, but Dave has been working since he was 22 out of college, and he has these, huge advantages on his resume, how do I compete with that? Right? Like, how do I
for sure.
match up with that? Right? And so we make sure we do a good job of helping tell the story so that you can see why it's important to have a Corey in your organization and how he can track towards the top of what your company can be based upon those intrinsic values that he brings, whether that's high-level communication skills. Because people think about athletes really in a box, but we're highly communicative, right? Like, we communicate constantly, and that's a very important skill to have. But it's also about execution, right? We're trained and groomed to execute. It's all about execution, and it's all about being able to make sure that you are resilient and coming back from failure a lot. And you think about an athlete, you fail a lot in sports. If you shoot 50% from the field in basketball, I mean, you missed half your shots, right? So you fail a lot in sports. And when you think about being inside of an organization, you have to deal with adversity a lot. And you want those type of individuals in your company that are used to it and understand how to come back quickly from it.
This is amazing. Did you think of all this yourself?
Yeah. I mean, what happened with me was I started to get a lot of athletes reaching out to me, whether it was guys that I played with or guys that heard about me and the things that I was doing. And they just started asking a lot of questions, just trying to figure things out, because there's not a lot of structure for professional athletes out there or former athletes, just real world stuff, right? And so I started getting a lot of that, and then I said, wow, I'm getting so much of this. This needs to be a company, and this needs to be set up in a way that
I think it's an awesome
we
idea.
can educate. Yeah, we can educate companies on how to work with athletes and why does that make sense. And it makes it easier. If you think about, because the conversation about athletes going broke is really skewed in the wrong way, right? And so you may have this athlete that made millions of dollars, right? Someone like a Antoine Walker who made $100 million, and then he goes broke. Well, he's really like the 1%. Like that's the 1% of athletes, right? Like, the rest of the athletes are the guys that just at like the minimum wage guys, the guys that were, on the team, but they didn't make millions of dollars. And so, a guy like Antoine Walker is a unique case because he had a ton of money and he blew it all. Well, you have a guy who, say, he made $500,000, like take a football player that was making a minimum and made $500,000. And he said, well, I want to be smart. I'm only making $500,000. I know after taxes it's probably going to be, maybe around 3-something, 350, 375, something like that. And then I want to take 150,000 and I'm going to live on that, and I'm going to take the other 150 and I'm going to put it in investments and save it, right? I mean, okay, that's a very, modest situation based upon, where he is. Well, if he loses his job, meaning, he get cut or released or whatever, he still may have some money in savings and some money in investments, but his cash flow is gone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's gone for
sure.
So
now that $150,000 lifestyle is gone, and if you replace that with a $50,000 job, what's going to happen? Right? Like, you're going to struggle, right? And so we're trying to make sure that we close that gap and help educate these companies on how to work with athletes, and as well as the brands, because there's a lot of brand equity there for athletes that, may have been standouts in college, maybe, in their local scene. And there's a lot of opportunities for them to be able to generate and monetize their equity there and their celebrity there as well. So we try to make sure that we're finding all those unique opportunities there that may be getting glossed over.
What's the name of your company again?
It's called Qwerkz. It's QWERKZ. Really came up with the name because it really comes, it's just a play on the word quirky, right? Like, it's different, right? Like, unique or different or stuff. And a lot of times people read athletes wrong. They think a lot of athletes a lot of times are arrogant or not down to earth, or a lot of different stereotypes, right? The truth is, a lot of athletes have high level of anxiety. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because I spend all of my time doing this one thing. Like, I think about, like, when I was in college, how much time I spent,
true.
like, training and working out and studying film and, just getting ready for games. And, like, it was year round. But I spent so much time doing this one thing that, like, when I'm out of that environment, it's awkward for you. Like, it's just, and people are always people always want to talk about that one thing that you do, right? Like, it's never like, hey, Corey, tell me about this other thing about yourself. And, it's almost about football.
I hear those stories, Corey, even though I didn't play at the level you played it as a professional wrestler. I mentioned I was a pro wrestler. Oh, you don't understand. Everything else I've done, it doesn't matter. They'll talk about pro wrestling with me. That was 25 years ago, man. I've done a lot of things since 25 years ago, and that's hard for some athletes, right? Because they don't want to talk about it because they wish they were on the field at points. And I think the greatest thing you're doing is connecting these athletes. There are services that do life coaching for these athletes, but you do far more than that. And you get them the job to make money. And you connect businesses so they understand that. And that's so important.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's all about opportunity. I mean, we get people that are trying to convince athletes. They already have this anxiety in already. And then they're saying, hey, go to all these places and do these thousands of hours of networking. And typically you're running into people who really can't help you. And you probably can do more for them than they can do for you. And you're spending all your time doing that, but you're spinning your wheels. And so what we wanted to do was eliminate that part of it and work backwards, right? And we said, well, let's identify the opportunity, the company, the entity, based upon the criteria that the athletes are looking for. Let's put those two together and reverse that back into a real person. And now you're talking to the right person. You're connected to the right entity. And now you can get the type of result you're looking for, versus just trying to do a million hours of networking and you're getting, burnt out on that.
Yeah, sometimes those networking events, Dave, are a complete waste of time, aren't they, Dave? You're like, why did I go?
Yep. How many business cards have I got from networking events? I might as well throw them in the trash,
Because it's never the right people to connect the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key to success. You see, it's easy to lose your confidence if you don't have structure. And you don't know that you have value beyond playing sports. If you don't know that, you're going to be very, insecure, and you're not going to have a lot of confidence. So we help show them, no, you have tons of value. You have tons of value, and here's how you connect that value to what you're looking for to get and receive value back. And I think that's just one of the greatest things that can happen. And it's awesome to see it happen.
It truly is. All right, Corey.
Go ahead, Dave.
You're going to ask how we can find information, right? I was going to let Dave ask a question now that's more important, Corey.
Right.
Then we'll find more information. Dave has the reason he co-hosts with me. He's a phenomenal radio host, and he's improved 1,000 times because of his own radio show and doing a show with me where he never knows how things are going to go. I booked Corey last night, by the way. That's how I move quickly. And what a diamond in the rough finding him, and such a great story. The last 2 weeks, these two athletes, you can put them in a bottle and say, these are the athletes after life, after sports. They need to follow those two people as far as they can. But Dave has an unbelievable story as well. Go ahead, Dave. Tell Corey your story.
Well, 22 years ago, my beautiful wife had a stroke. She had a headache, and she lost her speech, became paralyzed on the right side. And we turned it around. I mean, after a couple-year grieving period, she decided she was still alive, so there's still a purpose in her life, even though she still can't talk, but she can communicate non-verbally through Pictionary and charades, 2 games I hate, by the way. And she still can't walk. She's in a wheelchair, but I've been helping caregivers for the last 10 years now stay alive, because 30% of them actually die before their loved ones do. And so I've got a website, caregiverdave.com. I speak all across the country. I've been on television, Harvard, NASDAQ, you name it. And so my question to you, Corey, is a lot of people don't realize that they're either going to become a caregiver or they're going to need a caregiver one day. And how about your parents? How old are they, and are they needing care? Have you thought about, caregiving, that you might become a caregiver tomorrow, for example?
Yeah, I'm really interested that you asked that question. So my father, he's 68, in great shape, healthy as a horse.
Good for you.
Phenomenal person. But I lost my mom in 2012.
Oh,
and
sorry.
She had multiple sclerosis. So if you think about caregiving, obviously, people that don't know about multiple sclerosis, if it's very aggressive, you can lose your sight, you can lose your ability to walk,
right.
slur your speech. So she had the aggressive kind, and one of the hardest things I had to deal with in my life was my rookie year going into the league. She started getting sick, and I didn't know, And I'm preparing to get ready for training camp, and my family is really protective. They understand that I'm on this path to try to accomplish something in my life that very few people get to accomplish. And so I know my mom, and by the way, my mom was a nurse. So my mom and I were very, very close. And so we would talk for hours, daily. And I realized that, a couple of days were going by and I really couldn't get a hold of her. But she was a nurse, so sometimes she would work at night, sometimes she would work in the daytime. So I was like, wow, we just keep missing each other. And then I found out that she was sick. And it was like the hardest thing, man, because I felt so bad because I'm out here,
right.
trying to play football. I'm trying to play football, hit people, and my mom is going through this very difficult thing. And so she was losing her sight. And I didn't know this at the time, but so she went completely blind. And so I jump on a plane, I fly home. And once I got home, literally she regained a sight in one of her eyes. And the doctor was like, this never really happened.
That's a miracle.
And so, and I was there with her, and I was ready to quit football. I was like, you know what, I'm not doing it. This is literally like at the beginning, my rookie year. I haven't even played a game. It's like, I'm not doing this. I've been away because I was in college for basically 5 years, and I didn't come home in the summers because I'm constantly training. I'm trying to, keep, going towards my goal. And I'm like, I missed so much already. And
were they kind of minimizing this, keeping it from you because they didn't want you to affect what you were doing?
Yeah. I mean, it was just
that's love.
A total shock. And I had a conversation with my mom. I never forget it. I said, I'm not doing football anymore. I'm just going to come home. And she was like, no, you're not. She was like, what? And she really was just so firm. And she was like, what about being home is going to change my situation? Yeah. She was like, you worked your entire life. She said, I remember, you going to all these practices. I remember having to call you in the house and you would stand up 12 o'clock at night trying to play basketball in the dark and all this stuff. She was like, you've done this for your whole life. Like, you're going to finish it. You're going to go and finish it, And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. She was like, that's it. You're doing it, And it wasn't about, money or, fame or anything like that. It was just like, my son had a dream and a goal, and I want to see him accomplish it.
Yeah.
And
they'll sacrifice their lives for us. They'll throw themselves in front of a car for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing about my mom, she was hilarious. So she was in great spirits the whole time she was dealing with this. In fact, my last season, I ended up getting cut, and I remember calling my mom. I'm gonna call my mom, let her know what's going on. And literally, I was like, Mom, I just got cut, and she was like, so excited. I mean, it was amazing. Like, it was just like, she was just like, yes, when are you coming home? And I was like, Mom, I just lost my job.
Oh, jeez.
Like, what? And then she was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But when are you going to be home? But that's just how she was. She was just that type of person. And, but it was interesting at that question because we ended up, I had to, spend a lot of time with her as she went through that physical struggles, feeding her. I mean, it's just a lot of things that we had to do to make sure that she had the type of comfort that she needed while she was going through such a rough time.
So caregiving, you're no stranger to caregiving.
No, he's not. So that's a soundbite for you, Dave. That's a soundbite. Professional athlete, had to be a caregiver for sure.
I'd love to have you on my show, Corey.
Absolutely.
Okay, We'll make it. We'll definitely make it happen. I have the contact. Corey, where are you living, by the way? Where do you live? What city?
I'm in Columbia. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, Columbia. Okay. All right. Best place we can find info on you. Learn about Quirks and all the places. Where can we go?
Yep, definitely Quirks.com, QWERKZ.com for sure. If you're an athlete, definitely go on there. If you're a company or brand and want to work with athletes, go on there and sign up and fill out the information, and we'll be happy to connect with you. For social media, I'm all over social media. On Instagram, we got a Quirks app page on Instagram, so it's at Quirks app. And also, I'm on LinkedIn. That's one of my favorite platforms right now because I share a lot of content on there. So Corey Jackson on LinkedIn for sure. And then on Twitter, we got a Quirks app on Twitter as well, at Quirks app on Twitter. And so those are the main places you can find me on social media for sure.
Well, I can't wait till we talk off air. I'm going to get Corey. I'll get you booked on Dave's show for sure, but I can't wait to talk to you and see how some of the brands I'm connected with, we can work together and collaborate on a lot of different projects. So I'm glad we met for sure. And Google me, Corey, and Google Dave, and you'll see that we got to figure out how we can get NFL players involved in the brand of caregiving. Dave, I think you have another plan, and then you also, Dave,
like
and then also Dave has one other deal involving head injuries, and your colleague that we still haven't hooked up yet.
Antoine Chevalier has this patented process for anyone who suffered concussion or traumatic brain injury, which who in the NFL hasn't, right? And so we got to hook you up with him as well.
Absolutely. So we got a lot to talk about. Yeah.
We for sure. And I'm always running into brands. And one thing I'll bring up, Corey, I think that you came up with the greatest idea, is because athletes don't understand how much they're worth in their careers. If they played for a sports team, brands are interested in them. Businesses are interested in them. And they don't understand that because they don't know how to go out and network, and you're helping them do that. And that's huge because anybody that had a name in their lives, they don't want to ever lose that name. And that name will help get influence, and your brand will get you more opportunities, and the more opportunities leads to a lifestyle. And that's what Corey, you created is a lifestyle brand. I'm waiting for you to go on Shark Tank with this idea. It's a great gig, man.